What's going on, guys? It's Vinny here, and today we're going to be replacing a valve cover gasket on a 2005 Scion TC. Alright, so I got a 10mm socket on a gun. We're going to go ahead and take off this top cover. Alright, so next we're going to remove our coil packs. There's 4 of them along the top. There's a 10mm holding each one of them in, and the first thing you want to do is carefully remove each plug first while you have it in there. You guys can just tuck this away for the time being. Okay, next you're going to remove the 10mm bolts. There's one in each of the coils. Alright, now that you have the bolts out, we're going to go ahead and remove the coils. And generally, I like to place these on the ground in the same order that I took them out, so when they go back in, they go to the same slots that they were in, so the engine, you know, won't act any different. Alright, so next we're going to remove 2 brackets. They're both 10mm bolts. There's one here and one right over here. Alright, so you guys can see you're just going to have to kind of keep that out of the way as you pull this up. Alright, next you're going to remove the 10mm bolts that are around the entire valve cover. You guys can also pop this off back here. Gives you a little more play in the harness, just a little bit. Alright, so you're going to get a flathead and you're going to get it down here in this edge, and you'll be able to kind of gently pry it up. You might want to do that on both sides to make sure it's up, and you'll start to feel that it's freeing up. So you're going to want to make sure you pull the harness aside on both sides. I left these tubes connected because I believe we might be able to do this without removing those at all. I know these get old and they dry out and crack easy, so removing them sometimes is not even worth the hassle. So I'm going to see if we can kind of sneak by that. So actually you can pop the bottom one off. Sometimes that'll come off easier. And we can just kind of sit this up while you peel away the old gasket down here. Alright, so you're going to also notice that this is going to start dripping if there's a little bit of oil up there. So just take note, you might drip some oil on the engine. And I'm going to lay this back down. Alright, next you're going to get your new valve cover gasket. This one I have gotten on Amazon. I'll throw a link down below in the description for it. This one is blue, and I'm going to show you guys how to put this in. Alright, so you're going to get your new valve cover gasket. I'm just going to lay the center holes around where they should go. And I'm going to start by putting in the corners along the edges. And then go along and put the middle, I guess you would call these like the spark plug holes or coil pack holes. Make sure there's no grease. Alright, and that's pretty much it for the valve cover. Now we're just going to put it back together in reverse order. You're going to want to make sure that the valve cover stays in the whole time you flip this over and put it back on. And before you fully seat it down, you're going to want to kind of try to do a good inspection around all the sides to make sure that this isn't pinched anywhere before you finally clamp it down and bolt it down. Because if it is out of place at all, you can damage it and then you'll need another one. All right, so now that you guys have the valve cover back on, I just went ahead and put all the 10mm nuts and bolts back on. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten all of that down. I'm gonna start with the two middle ones in this channel right here. Gloves just weren't doing it for me. Now my hands smell like wet hot dogs. Ugh. So another thing to note here is you always want to go back over these again with a 10mm on a ratchet, just because as you tighten one side and then tighten the other, this side or the middle might lose its tightness because the rest of it's fully, you know, tightened like evenly. So you just want to double check every single 10 that you're putting back in to make sure it's torqued down correctly. All right, once you guys have everything tightened down, get the bolts in for our harnesses, and then we're gonna drop our coils in and put our 10mm bolts in for those. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Now I'm gonna be putting these coils back in the order that I took them out. You can also, some people like to mark them along the top with like a crayon or something. It's all personal preference. You notice the plugs are on the right side and the holes for the screws are on the left side. You match it up. And now always do this by hand because you don't want to strip any of these bolts out because then you're going to run into a lot of issues. And the metal that the valve cover and this head is made of is pretty soft. So you really don't want to damage it. Be careful not to over tighten these ones as well. They're just holding the coils down. They don't need to really be torqued that tight. Same thing with the bracket bolt. Just a little torque and everything is good to go. Now we're gonna just plug in all of our coils again. Oh, and just note on my wires here, the clips broke off. So these don't have clips on them right here. But honestly, I've had no issues just making sure they slide in tight. Hasn't thrown any check engine lights or had any issues. That'll be another days of work to get replaced at some point if I choose to do that. But for now, everything works great. So I'm gonna let it roll. All right, I'm also gonna reattach this hose in the back. Make sure all your hoses, there's only two you really need to worry about here. It's the one on the right, or the driver's side, and the one in the back. The only other thing we're missing here is that cover. I'm gonna get the cover and put that on. But first, what I wanna do is I wanna start up the car and let it run. And I wanna make sure I'm checking all around the valve cover for any leaks. Now, I didn't get to show you guys in this, but normally what you should do is basically clean off the whole engine before you take anything apart. And basically get all the grease off so when you go to run the engine after you replace it, you'll be able to see if there's any leaks. All right, so I'm gonna remove all my tools from under the engine. Just double check and make sure you have everything back on before you start it up. All right, everything looks good. We're gonna go ahead and start it up. Now we're just going to basically check for leaks all around the edge of the valve cover, down the sides, both sides, right down in here. All right guys, so I've been letting the engine run for about 10 minutes now. Now would be the time to double check everything again, just make sure there's nothing leaking, and then you can come over here and put on the plastic top cover that goes over the valve cover. All right, I'm gonna put that plastic cover back on. And by the way, if you guys lose these bolts, any kind of 10mm nut will fit on there. All right guys, and that's pretty much it. That pretty much wraps everything up. That's how to install a valve cover gasket on a 2005 to 2010 Scion TC. I also want to mention that this job applies to a lot of other Toyotas that use the same engine. I know the Camrys have them, and I think the Corollas as well. So it's a very easy job. It should only take you guys about 30 minutes tops. And the only thing you really need is a 10mm socket and a flathead. All right, so the links are going to be down in the description for the valve cover gasket that I got. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below and I will get back to you. If you guys liked the video, leave a thumbs up. And if you guys want to see more of this content, subscribe to my channel. I hope this helps somebody out there, and I hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for watching.